following the devastating August 8th wildfires. We are the state of aloha, so we ask kindly that you please operate under the value of aloha by extending respect and kindness to each other. Questions and answers will follow promptly after the speakers conclude their remarks. Without further ado, I would like to invite Governor Josh Green to address you today.
Aloha, everyone. Mayor, great to be with you. And just going to bring people up to speed with a few basic updates. We have a lot of extraordinary experts here today. So here we are. It's been 10 weeks since the disaster that occurred here on Maui. We lost 99 of our loved ones. We still have some work to do to close, I think, the 6 remaining cases. And we pray every day that there are no more loved ones that we've lost. So we do appreciate how difficult this has been. It has been tragic. In addition to that, it has had a very large impact on our people across the board. We've had so many people displaced. We know that we have over 3,000 families that were displaced. As of yesterday, approximately 6,800 individuals were still in hotel rooms across 35 hotels. Hundreds of families now in Airbnbs, in our HHFDC program. People are now moving into the Mayor's Excellent program, which he will be sharing. So we're making a lot of progress, but it is going to be a very long process. And what we want to share with people is we are here till the very end to get people into stable housing so that for the long-term recovery, the very long-term recovery, we can be ready. We can be ready to heal. A couple other things I wanted to share. Just under 9,000 of our individuals became unemployed. That number is beginning to drop. As of last week, it was 8,773. Jimmy Tokioka, my DBED director, will share how that number has begun to decline. We did announce the opening for October 8th. It was, as we expected, a very gentle opening. Very few additional people have come, but we're mindful that that will have an impact on us going forward, which is why we have to be steady. Steady getting people into housing, steady making sure people can return to their lives. Also, this has been a big week because we returned to school, and we were very grateful to see a lot of people celebrate going back to school. But even so, we're understanding if people aren't ready yet, and that's also important. One of the messages is we are going to be understanding if people aren't ready to work yet and they still need more time. If they're not ready to move yet, we will find a way to get them into a stable place in their life. And when they're ready to go back to education or to the other parts of their lives, we'll accommodate that. You'll see some significant changes and improvements to resources in the coming days. On the 20th of this month, a large operation to get grants through the TANF program will open up with MEO, Maui Economic Opportunity. Those grants will be applied for through them. We have set aside already $50 million with the additional $50 million coming as soon as it's required or needed. That's important. That could get people grants up to $30,000 to help buy a car, in addition to the resources they get from FEMA and American Red Cross and so many other humanitarian efforts. That's important. It can also be used for first and last month's rent. It can be used for a lot of things. So you'll see that. Now later this week, early next week, I'll go to Washington to see the president again, to see the leadership in D.C., to make sure they understand the support we need to give to our mayor. So not only seeing President Biden, but I'll also be able to see the HUD secretary. In time, that will be very important because that resource will come to the mayor so he can build a lot of housing, as is decided by him and the community. And he set up a process that he'll describe. That's also very important. So I'll see the HUD secretary, the White House, infrastructure personnel, health and human service personnel. The mayor and I discussed yesterday where our priorities and responsibilities should lie. My responsibilities will continue to be working with the federal government, working with both FEMA and their leadership, who I'll also see with the Red Cross, bringing grants. Meanwhile, I'll also focus on healthcare and economic development and our environmental concerns, which our Department of Health is able to deal with. The mayor, who has to rebuild community, will be the point person for housing. And he has many solutions for the people, but he is closest. He is closest to the needs of individuals one by one and has the heart for that. And so he will be able to help people rebuild and restructure where they live. So what I think I will do is just mahalo people because it has been so difficult. And we understand that. We absolutely do. There are going to be decisions like in any crisis that are hard. There are decisions that we'll have to be understanding when people aren't ready for them, but we move forward, and we're going to do all that we can to help people heal. You have a great team here, and if I may, I'm going to pause there so that our other experts can address the community and talk about how these plans are going to unfold. Aloha.
Mahalo, Governor Green. Next, I'd like to introduce Maui County Mayor Richard Bisson.
Aloha. We know from talking to our residents the anxiety and the uncertainty that they feel when it comes to the topic of housing. I appreciate Governor mentioning the county will take point on getting our folks into stable housing, safe, secure. We have some milestones and some landmarks that we do want to reach in this. We want to focus on getting people into not just stable housing, but an interim housing when they are ready to leave the hotels. That's not going to be an easy process. We understand that. We're trying everything possible and doing all that we can to make that happen through the work that's already been set forth by Director Tokioka and his folks, building upon the Airbnb rentals. But we're also going to focus on the host family program, which we talked about already in a previous press conference. That host family program, I just want to stress, what it talks about is having existing inventory, families that are already taking in other family or friends or fellow coworkers. We want to reward them by giving them funding to help with that. This is a good program because it's statewide. You can be in any county in the state of Hawaii and qualify for this host family program. We want to use the services of the Red Cross to get that word out to the folks that are staying at our various properties, as Governor mentioned, the hotels. So we're going to make a better effort of getting that word out to our folks, which is already starting. Again, that program, we also plan on making it retroactive. In other words, paying families up to $1,500 a month if they've taken people in since August 8th. The other thing we want to talk about is the rental assistance, thanks to the work of FEMA. Of course, the GEM program doing rent abatement. There are other programs, of course. The topic of modular homes has come up, and we are discussing that and looking into how that can be not only a short-term, but eventually a long-term solution, meaning if we're going to lay infrastructure down on our island, we're going to make sure we put it somewhere that we can make use of it after the temporary structures are taken down. So again, all part of a larger strategy that we're working with many, many others who know about this kind of work or who have suffered this kind of tragedy in their community. I'll also make myself available for questions later. Thank you.
Mahalo, Mayor Bisson. Next, I'd like to introduce FEMA's Regional Administrator, Bob Fenton.
Aloha. The administration continues to support ongoing operations here with a number of federal agencies that are here with FEMA to support the state of Hawaii and the county. And even more important than that, and I've talked many times about it, really takes a coalition, is having in that coalition not only government, but private nonprofits, private sector, and even those that are affected be part of that team. And to have Gail here from the Red Cross McGovern is really a key part of that. They've been such a key partner to FEMA in responding to this event and all events across the United States. So it's great to have here today. One of the things that we're really focused on, as the mayor talked about, was supporting the housing mission. And we've already given rental assistance to almost 3,300 people thus far. That rental assistance is 2 months of rent based on the fair market rental rate based on how many bedrooms they had before. Those 3,300 people have received that. They could go out and rent a unit. We know that it's a difficult rental market here, so what we're doing is providing assistance, working with nonprofit organizations and private sector to help them find that, and also to assist in providing additional funds that you're hearing about here today from other organizations. Once they rent something in FEMA, if you're part of that program and you're one of those 3,300 people, you can ask for extensions in 3-month increments. And what we did is, based on the high cost of rent here, we increased it from 100% fair market rental rate to 175%. That should provide the necessary funds to continue to rent, and we can provide those funds up to 18 months. So we want to help individuals rent as much as possible. We realize that some may need additional help, and in some cases we'll direct lease properties and act as a landlord to sublease to individuals. And in some cases, as the mayor said, we may have to build temporary solutions, and we're looking at those and have our engineers, along with other federal entities, working on some of those solutions. But we remain committed. In addition to the housing, we're doing things to focus on preparing Lahaina for whatever the future of the vision is for Lahaina, to help remove the hazards, remove the debris. And to date, the administration, just in FEMA funding here, has spent almost $1 billion in responding to this event. This is just the beginning. We'll be here until the job gets done, until we get people into safe, stable housing, and until we work with the county and the state to rebuild Lahaina. Thank you.
Mahalo, Bob. I'd like to introduce American Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern.
Aloha and thank you, everyone. I want to start by saying my heart goes out to the people that were impacted by this fire. It's heartbreaking. People lost everything. People lost loved ones. And the American Red Cross is doing everything possible that we can to try to soften the blow. We are working closely with state government, FEMA, the Maui Mayor. This is going to take a lot of players to make sure that we get people back on their feet. And you heard about a mosaic of different types of housing. We will provide case management and get people into housing as it becomes available. In the meantime, as the governor mentioned, there are 6,800 people in hotels. We have case managers in those hotels. We're taking care of them to the best of our ability. People tell us their stories. They have a catharsis. We're taking care of them and doing the best we can with them. And we do have experience with having people in hotels and getting people back on their feet this way. Something that I'm very excited about is that we are hiring people in the community to be able to be employees of the Red Cross to help us with this project. And the reason I'm excited about it is these people know the community. They know the streets. They know what's going on. They have cultural sensitivity. We've already hired over 100 people, and we've just started, so that number is going to grow. The other thing is we have volunteers that just spontaneously jump in to help, and it's part of the Aloha spirit. They show up, they see a need, they want to fill it. So we have a lot of spontaneous volunteers that are helping us as well. We've given out a lot of financial assistance so far, $11.3 million to about 5,000 households. So we're getting people jump-started. And for people that are truly vulnerable and need it the most, we're in the process of giving another round. $3.4 million has been given out already, only in just 2 days. So we're here to help. Red Crossers are born to help, and they see a need, and they just need to fill it, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And again, my heart goes out to everyone who is suffering from this tragedy. Thank you.
Mahalo, Gail. Next, please welcome the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism's Director, Jimmy Tokioka.
Aloha and good afternoon. I want to take this opportunity to thank the team here, and I really mean the team because it is a great team. I'm around a lot of people for all the years that I've been in government, but this team that has been working under the direction of Governor Green and Director Fenton has been incredible. I can tell you that there's not a night that goes by or a day that goes by that not everybody is working together to help the people of Lahaina because it was so tragic. So I'll start with the housing side. The governor asked me to take the lead on moving people from the congregate shelters into hotels, and we were very, very fortunate because we had a few hotels, and I've said it in a few press conferences, that stepped up without even a contract from Gail and her team and Bob and his team. they stepped up and they brought people into their properties, and the two properties are the Royal Lahaina and the Kaanapali Beach outrigger. They did an awesome job. I don't know too many people who would do that, but they did, and they've been continually doing that. The Royal Lahaina will be a hotel that if the survivors want to stay, they can stay. And many of those rooms have kitchens. So that's what we're trying to do now. And Mayor Bisson, I promise you, we're not walking away from it. We're going to continue to give the resources as if we were still doing it, but with your guidance and with your team's guidance. And we want to make sure that the survivors have a more comfortable place to live, with a kitchen, with a parking space, with a place to walk their dogs. And we will not end. The governor won't let me sleep. He texts me at 4:30 in the morning until we get that done. On the economic recovery side, I will let you know that I've been working very, very well with your Director of Economic Development, Luana Mahi. She shared with me some plans that they have for the Lahaina businesses yesterday. It was a video clip that is incredible. You should be very proud of what you folks are going to do to help Maui businesses. And all of the people that I've spoken with, because of my position at as the Economic Development Director of the state, the people that I speak to in Lahaina, they are craving for something like that. So the program, I know she's going to do a great job. So I have a lot of statistics that I could share, but what I will say to you is that there are two very, very good websites. It's the dbedhawaii.gov and the mauirecovers.org. .org, right, Mayor? Yes. .org. Those two websites, for any statistic that you want, go to that website and you can get as much information as you could possibly imagine. We are going to be working with Debbie Kabibi at MEO on some of the forgivable loans that the state is going to be putting out in conjunction with the county. So we're looking forward to that, because the businesses that are struggling are really going to need that help. So it's going to be an opportunity for us to help them. And as I said earlier, this is something that we think about every single day. There's not a day that goes on that we don't do that. So thank you for this opportunity. I want to thank the interpreter for supporting so that the deaf community can understand what we're talking about. Thank you very, very much. Aloha.
Mahalo, Director Tokioka. Finally, I'd like to welcome Department of Human Services Deputy Director Joe Campos.
Aloha, everyone. Thank you to Governor Green for the support that he's given to the Department of Human Services. Governor Green and the Department of Human Services has worked tirelessly to ensure that we can provide people impacted by the wildfires, both on Maui as well as Hawaii Island, the critical support that they need to restore their lives and repair and heal. The department has worked with our TANF reserves to be able to mobilize up to $100 million, which will go to support families. We have partnered with Maui Economic Opportunity. Thank you, Debbie. Maui Economic Opportunity has worked tirelessly to ensure that we are able to start accepting applications for this program this Friday, October 20th. We also want to thank the County of Maui for their support as we roll this out. We also want to share the fact that this is for families with dependent children. We encourage you, if you have been impacted by the wildfires, to please apply. Let the Department of Human Services and Maui Economic Opportunity determine your eligibility. We do not want you to go without the opportunities that exist for you. And I'll be able to answer any questions. Thank you.
Mahalo, Deputy Director Campos. Now I would like to open the floor up for questions from the media. I'd like to remind everyone that we welcome all questions, but we do ask for your aloha and kindness in asking them. Please raise your hand and await my acknowledgement, kalamai, at which time I will ask you to state your name and news organization. then you can proceed with asking your question. Just give me a beat. I'm going to repeat it back so that everybody tuning in can understand what the question is, and then whoever your question is for can come up and answer. Mapopo? Let's start. Wendy?
Wendy Osher, Pacific Media Group in Maui now. The question is for Mr. Tokyo. It's been about 10 days. Can you give us an overview of where we stand right now? Is there a significant increase in tourism, or is it just kind of a slow, gradual return?
Mahalo, Wendy. Wendy's question is around 10 days post the October 8th reopening, a status update from Director Tokioka.
Thank you, Debbie. Well, let me just start with the October 8th date. A lot of thought went into that by the governor and the mayor. And the information that we got, I meet with the hotel operators every single week, sometimes twice a week. So I would constantly ask them what their reservations look like, because it's important to us to figure out where we need to be and how we need to get there. So every time I have these meetings, I communicate with the governor what the status is like. One of the questions that happened when the governor made the announcement to open on October 8th, every other day I was calling the hotels to find out what their occupancy was, what their reservations patterns were, and it was down. In fact, some of the hotels lost reservations after the governor's announcement. So we knew there wasn't going to be a big influx of visitors coming. We also knew that some of the timeshare properties, the guests would come because they owned the week, but we did also know that a lot of people have moved their week to another time during the year at the resort that they were at. So we were well aware of what the circumstances were going to be. We also asked them in the first quarter, what was your reservation patterns looking like? And they continuously tell us it's down. The only month that they have some concerns is December. And there's a few weeks in December, but I'm very proud of the people that we're working with, because what they're telling us is that, Jimmy, we'll work with each other to figure out if one hotel is in need of rooms, we'll figure out how we can do it. So I give a lot of credit to the properties that are in there, and for the most part, there are some that are way better than others, but for the most part, the major ones are working well together, and I give them a lot of aloha, because every time we ask them for support, they say, it's our people too. It's their employees that they're helping. So I think that answers the question, but I appreciate the question, because we put a lot of thought into how we were going to move forward with tourism. And that's why what the mayor's talking about is the vacation rentals and moving them into those more comfortable living arrangements. We need to make sure that we can help the hotel so that they can start booking the regular visitors when they come back. Thank you.
Wendy, good? Okay. Thanks, Jimmy. Chelsea, you're up. Hi.
Chelsea Davis with Hawaii News Now. This question is for Mayor. Mayor, what is the process and how long will it take to select and develop a landfill site for the permanent disposal of non-hazardous debris from Lahaina? And where will the material be stored until that is built?
So it's the process and the timeline to build a landfill site post-wildfires. Mahalo, Chelsea.
So we're working with our Department of Environmental Management. There's going to be an agenda item with the Department of Land and Natural Resources, their board, on Friday, October 27th. We'll know more at that time. But we do have a plan of keeping the non-hazardous debris on island at the wishes of our Lahaina community. We understand that there may be remains that is contained within those areas. Wherever we put that on Maui, that's the only thing that will be stored there. This will not be a landfill in the sense that anything else can be put there with it. This will be placed there solely by itself. And we'll have other plans for what will be done with that in the future. But the plan is to leave it here in Maui. Thanks, Chelsea.
Good.
Yes, Governor, of course.
So I think it's also important to give the governor and their team great kudos. As of yesterday, they had, in their partnership with the EPA, had cleared 1,103 lots out of about 1,500 already of some of the most toxic concerns. These were refrigerators and other chemicals that had to go first. before people could return. And so that also has been a very significant process. As you know, on Saturday, we did get the results back that there were heavy metals discovered in the ash in Kula. We are obviously going to test all of the ash in all of the areas, but it's very methodical the way the EPA approaches this. That will also affect, the mayor and their team and how they best keep everything, organized and stable for recovery. Because long term, eventually the people will decide how they want to rebuild, how and where their homes should be. And so we have to be very thoughtful about the environmental health. It was arsenic that was the concern, and it has not been found in the water. It has not been a threat near the schools, but we still have to be very careful. So when people do go back to those properties in advance of the full removal, we're still asking them to be safe. And so this will be a constant partnership. Our Department of Health team will be right there with the mayor's team and FEMA's team to make sure people don't inhale or ingest any of that ash.
Mahalo. Our next question is from Dan Nakaso with the Honolulu Star Advertiser, and this question is for Mayor Bisson regarding any idea of timing for Phase 2 for reopening based on Phase 1 experience.
Yes, I can say that Phase 1 has gone well, and I will be getting an update from my advisory team this Friday. We meet twice a week, and this is the topic on our agenda this Friday. So I'll know more then. Thank you.
Paul?
Yeah, thank you. Paul Aker, Maui Alert. Question is primarily for Mr. Fenton. Talking to small businesses, very small businesses, they're saying that they're getting no assistance from FEMA. If they lost a house, they could get assistance, but if they lost a business, they can't. They are on the brink. What can you tell those people?
The question from Paul is around small business support from FEMA.
Yeah, let me go ahead and start, and I'm sure that there's others here that bring other resources to the table. FEMA's assistance is really geared toward residents that lost their homes, but SBA can help businesses. So once you apply to FEMA, whether you're a resident or a business owner, you're sent over to SBA to get further assistance from SBA. There's other federal agencies here. EDA is here, USDA, and they bring other grants that will help the business community. But I'll tell you one thing the businesses could do right now is they could go fill out a right of entry, and they can fill out a right of entry to remove the debris off of their commercial property. Usually FEMA just clears debris from private residential structures and not commercial structures. And so one thing they could do right away is fill out that right of entry. They could go to the Disaster Recovery Center at Lahaina. They could go down to the county building and fill it out. Or they could go to that MauiRecovers.org website, and electronically you'll be able to do it there. That's going to be a significant cost savings to them on the rebuilding by being able to leverage that website. So there's a number of grants, SBA, other grants will be coming, but let me hand it over to the state. And then also there's through other grants that may be out there through the state and philanthropy and private sector that are available